Hello, hello. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Across the globe, at least across a couple hemispheres. Welcome to SPNI's webinar this day. I'm Jay Shofet from the Chevralas Haganat Teva, Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel. Coming to you today. I'm live in Toronto. Been just finishing up a visit with our CEO Don Alone here in North America, and with us today is Meidad Goren. Many of you are familiar with Meidad, having seen him on our webinars, and maybe some of you have seen him birding in Israel. He works out of the Negev, out of Sde Boker, lives in a moshav near Netivot, where he is coming to you. Hello, yes, from Norway and various places. Let us know in the chat where you're from, please. Thanks. Hi, Helen and Modi'in. We're happy to welcome people from all over, and we're already close to 70 people on. We'll get going in just a couple of minutes. Meidad has a very interesting webinar. We often talk about global issues in broad strokes, and previous webinar on climate change policy on the macro level and kind of biodiversity on the national level. And we're touching on that today as well. Bird migration and birding conservation certainly has national import and international import, but we're going to look at a specific issue and a specific challenge that we're facing on poaching of falcons. Wow. Hi, everybody from all the continents and countries. Happy to have everybody with us. Um, Mehdad, I wonder if you have, people who know you are coming here, if you have a chance to look at the chat. Um, we'll get going in a couple of seconds, and I just want to let everybody know I want to thank everybody for being here today, for being such faithful viewers of these webinars. Dan and I hear everywhere we go, and we were in New York and in the Bay Area and in LA over the last 12, 13 days. And we hear from everybody. People recognize me from the webinars, and tell it to their friends. And, we have overall a global audience of thousands. And all over San Francisco, Florida, and many in Israel as well. 25% of our webinar viewers and uh, well, of course, in Israel we have so many supporters, but many of them are English speakers, thousands. We're covering the globe, but what we really, of course, focus on is Israeli biodiversity um, and habitats. And we have so much going on in Israel. Our summing up, we talk about our startup nature wetlands rewilding program and what we've been doing in terms of helping a traumatized nation heal in the wake of the ongoing war and trauma. And of course, the upcoming and so urgent rehabilitation, the nature rehabilitation of both the Gaza envelope and the northern border. Um, Bigger issues, and we're going to focus on a piece of a piece today, but a fascinating topic. I think it's about time to get going, and thank you, everybody. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A feature, and we will get to them at the end. Meidad has a presentation for us. Meidad's uh, he's a great birder, a great guy. Saw him recently in my first time at the Champions of the Flyways. Meidad was a great guide for us, the SPNI executive team, and I can't wait to hear about the guardians of the Falcons. So thank you, Meidad.
Okay, thank you, Jay. So we can start straight away, right?
Go
Let me
for it.
just share my screen and just tell Jay's okay. Can you see
Not,
the
now it is,
can you see
yes.
it?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So now that you are, I'll say goodbye. Okay, so hello everybody. It's nice to see you. We're getting close to 100 people, so that's fantastic. As mentioned, my name is Meidad, and I run the Ramat HaNegev Birding Center. I work for the SPNI and for the last 15 years in BirdLife Israel. And I'm going to talk about the Falcon Guardians, which is a project that I'm pretty proud of, and I'm pretty proud to been the initiator of this project. And in order to really understand the project, I'll try with a background. First of all, as most of you probably know, um, Israel is a very important place for birds, world for the bird life here, and it's a very also important place for migrating birds and local birds. The falcons that we're going to talk about today are ones that actually migrate through Israel. Israel is a very important corridor in the middle of a flyway, the major European, Asian to African flyway, which means that a lot of migratory birds migrate and fly through Israel on their way to Africa and back in spring. But this project is going to be focused on a very unique group of birds, and these are the falcons. Here, it's quite a diverse group of birds, and we call them birds of prey, which means that they hunt. They hunt, all of them hunt food. They don't really eat dead birds. They don't really feed on carcasses. They need to hunt the birds that they feed on, or the animals that they feed on. We have quite a diverse group of birds. Most of them nest in holes, as you can see here. This on the left side, the lesser kestrel can actually breed in houses. In this picture is taken in Beersheba or in the northern tundra and the northern Arctic, like this gyrfalcon on the top right, or in a desert at the bottom right, like this sooty falcon. They can breed either in colonies, which means in group, or they like.
Meidad, where you're frozen.
Oh, oh,
Meidad, you were it's the second
am
time
I?
you were like went out for a few seconds. I'm just saying.
All right. Okay, sorry about that. There must be some connections. I can't really do much about it. I can try a little bit, maybe. Just Jade, just tell me if there's any frozen, and I'll try to overcome it in a way. So as I was
Okay.
saying, yeah, it's okay now.
Now it's fine. Yeah.
All right. There must be some. It could be something that got to do with the war that is happening not far from me. But I'll try to make it happen. So as I was saying, the falcons is a group within the birds of prey, and we'll talk about it in a minute. They like to, some of them build a nest in groups. We can find them in from the desert to the wilderness, to the Arctic tundra, to the cities, and everywhere. Falcons are very adaptable, and we have quite a variety all over the world, and also in Israel. Um, So who are these falcons? They are the smallest birds of prey. So if we probably you know about the eagles, and you know about the vultures, and you know about buzzards and hawks. The falcons are the smallest, and some of the falcons, the falconets of India and Africa, are actually the smallest birds of prey. Birds of prey. Some of them are actually not much bigger than blackbirds, and even smaller. So they can really get to be tiny. Ferocious and very neat hunters. Are they birds of prey? It's a question. They actually genetically the closer to parrots than to hawks, but because they live almost identically to other raptors and birds of prey, we sort of lump them in this group of birds of prey when we talk to the public. But it's important to actually mention that they are a little bit genetically uh, far from, or a little bit separated from the rest of the hawks and eagles and so. but they are very impressive hunters, and we'll see it in a minute how, and that also is very important for this talk to understand the issue that we are dealing with here. And these are the fastest birds alive. So the peregrine falcon, which is one of the falcons we're going to introduce a little bit later, is the fastest animal alive, and it can reach really high speeds, as we can see now in this speed or strike rate. Um, so yeah, that was the peregrine, the fastest animal alive. And you could say that if you hear that sentence, it's that one was said in the end, that 20% is only working actually. Um, However, they try a lot. So they are good hunters. And if we focus on Israel, there's quite a nice variety of different falcons. And we divide them, we part them into groups. So we have at the top four birds, we have the small falcons, uh, that is a migratory bird, which means they breed in Israel, but they migrate to Africa and then they come back. We have the merlin, which is a wintering bird, which means that it comes here in winter, spend the winter in Israel, and goes back to Europe and Asia, where it comes from. We have to the right of the merlin, we have the kestrel that is actually that lives here in Israel all year around. So it doesn't migrate anywhere. It likes Israel. This is a kestrel. We have the red-footed falcon, lovely migrating bird that breeds in Europe and comes here in the migrating season in spring and autumn. We have the bottom three birds are actually a little bit larger, medium-sized falcons. These are the Eleonoras from the left, Eleonora's falcon, on the wing. They catch insects and birds, and all of them are migratory birds. They breed. Two of them, Hobby and Sooty Falcon, breeds in Israel, but migrate to Africa. The Sooty Falcon breeds, migrate to Madagascar, and the Leonoras is a little bit less common in Israel. It migrates through in autumn and in spring on the way to Madagascar as well, like the Sooty Falcon. And they also, some of them, some young birds can spend the summer in Israel when they don't have to go back to breed because they're too young. And then we have the other group of falcons, which is the large falcons. We have four species of large falcons. One of them you already know from on the top right, it's the peregrine falcon we just saw. And then just on the left, that is the Lana falcon. Below the Lana falcon on the bottom left, it's the Barbary falcon, which actually the Barbary falcon is a subspecies of the peregrine. So now we regard them as the same species, but the Barbary falcon, the one on the bottom left, breeds in Israel in a desert, while peregrine does not. It just comes here in winter or it migrates. So, but they are the same species. You can see they're a little bit different. They don't look completely alike, but they are regarded as subspecies. Bottom right, that is the Saker falcon, which is the largest of all the falcons. It's actually the largest falcon in Israel, and you can see it carrying here a pigeon. But we are going to talk about and focus on one specific, and maybe another three that we will mention a little bit later in the talk. And then there's another bird that comes into the picture, into the story, and that is the Asian Hubara. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. This is the Saker on the right, Hubara. And then there were two, and these are the two that we're going to talk about. In order to understand and remember, we're talking about the Falcon Guardians. So how does that work? So we have to go back in time a little bit, a few thousand years even back, where it started. And scientists reckon that it's going to the Arabian Peninsula, the Bedouins of Arabia, which lived in really tough conditions in the desert, in some of the most arid and hard environments to live. But they lived there for thousands of years. And obviously, in the desert, meat is very scarce. There's not a lot of animals that you can hunt in order to provide your family with meat. But there's some birds that can do that, can fill that, put that in the menu. And this is the hubara, which we just mentioned. And so through the years, it's very hard to hunt a bird that can fly and fly fast with an arrow. When I must remind you, there were no guns or nothing that can help you hunt these birds, and it's very hard to catch them. And we know that now when we try to catch them for research. But then the bastards, and they started to basically develop a hunting system, and we called it falconry, the hunt with the aid of falcons and other raptors. And falconry was basically a method of hunting for meat. And it was a very sustainable way to do that. And I'll explain it in a minute. How was it actually sustainable? For thousands of years, the Bedouins used to hunt bastards with falcons, and the populations of both species was sustainable. Was basically wasn't nothing was damaged. You can say that in these words. And how does that work? If we look at the saker on the left and the bastards, the Asian on the right, we can see that both these birds breed. You can see on the orange marks basically shows the breeding areas where the birds breed, raise their chicks, and the blue and the purple are the areas where they migrate and winter. And you can see that as many other birds, they breed a little bit to the north and then coming to the south to breed. And for many years, it was in the same seasons. So what used to happen is that the Bedouins living in Arabia knew exactly where the areas that the sakers are coming to hunt, to spend the winter. The sakers, after fledging or after finishing the breeding season, fly south, some of them to the Arabian Peninsula, spend the winter there, and then go back home. The Bedouins knew where that is, where these areas were, and they used to go to organize convoys, jump on their camels, and ride the desert for a couple of weeks until they got to the sakers areas, the grounds where the hunting grounds of the sakers, where they used to spend the winter, catch a few sakers, and then train them for a month. So there was actually a person that was specialized in training the sakers in order to develop a connection, actually relationship between the falcon and the hunter. That is very important when you go hunting with the falcons. You have to have a relationship, and they could do it within a month. And then when it's all established and the falcon is sort of trained, he would give it to the Hubara hunters, and then another convoy was organized, and they would go to the Hubara grounds where the Hubara came from Asia to spend the winter, hunt as many as they can. Normally, it's not a lot. It's not like a very easy task. You remember the falcons are good hunters, but they don't succeed in 100% of the time. So you gotta work hard to catch the Hubara. And then whatever they could catch, that was the meat for the rest of the year. And obviously, there's nothing to do with the sakers. You can't really keep the saker when there's no bastards around, there's no hubara around. So they used to release the sakers. And then the saker could actually go back home and complete another breeding season, this is the reason why we think we obviously uh, um, we suspect that this method was actually very sustainable because you couldn't catch too many hubara, so that couldn't really damage the population of the hubara, and you release the sakers back. More than that, if you think about it, most of the birds, even the birds of prey, about 50% of them don't survive their first year of life. So if you're a saker chick that fledged in somewhere in Russia and you just fledged, you just left the nest and you flying south to Saudi Arabia and that's your first year, it will be 50-50%. So 50-50 chances that you go back home the next year because it's very difficult to survive. That's nature. So actually by catching these young birds, getting through the first year. So they even make a profit and um, it's actually good for them. And through years, the Pakistani and Arabian cuisine used to enjoy the khubara meat until today. Actually, this is a photo that I found just in the web in the internet looking for a khubara recipe, and I actually found it in this Pakistani restaurant somewhere. But obviously, this is the meat that they get. They don't have a lot of other kind of meat. But then things changed, and it changed quite recently. Um, Somewhere around um, in the middle of the 20th century, there was a big surprise, as you can see here, that changed the whole picture in the Middle East, not only in the context that we are talking about, but obviously in many other prospects, in many other ways. The oil, the discovery of the oil changed the Middle East, and it also affected our story and how that happened. If you remember what I told you before, there was quite a tradition that was involved through the falconry. So the whole falconry was developed just to provide meat, but it also became a very big part of the tradition, the local tradition. And now, when you have money, your lifestyle changes. You have more money. You can buy all the best cars that you can get. You can build fast roads. The camels are fine, but you don't really need to organize a convoy and march and ride the camels for hundreds of miles. You can just basically put in the petrol, which you have a lot of, and just drive a couple of hours, and you can get into the falcon hunting grounds. You can catch quite easily if you bring more experts. You have much more time because you don't spend the time on with the camels, and basically you're much more efficient. And the culture also changes when you have money, and the whole world around you changes. A lot of these changes basically affect the way that falconry was handled. And if the sakers were to begin with, it's quite rare. It's not like hundreds. We're talking about a few sakers, probably tens, or even a little bit more coming into Saudi Arabia, and then you catch them. You know where to find them because you have the expertise. You can get to all the areas much easier now when you have a nice four-wheel drive. You can get there, you can take the sakers, you can go and hunt way more bastards, hubaras, because you can get them much faster. You can spend more time in the hubara grounds, wintering grounds. And then why releasing the birds when you can keep it? And you can get all the experts from all over the world who knows how to handle the birds, how to keep the birds. If they get sick, you can build hospitals. So there are actually hospitals built for falcons. And you can see this white, beautiful falcon, which is not a saker. And if you remember from the first picture in this presentation, I showed the one that lives, the falcon that basically lives in the northernmost parts of the planet in Northern America and Northern Europe. And it's the biggest of the falcons, so it's the most impressive, obviously, very, very expensive. So you can import it because if you have money, you can just buy the birds. You can buy, you can trap. And as you can see in this photo, this is just a collection of a lot of sakers here. Obviously, we're talking about sakers mainly, but peregrines and lanners and Barbary falcons are also in great demand. Um, so this whole hunting hunting tradition changed into a very expensive hobby and a very also not only expensive but very prestigious. So if you have a lot of money and you want to show it, then you buy the best looking, the most expensive falcons, or your stand in the society was obviously was much bigger, much higher. How did that affect? Well, obviously, you can't just do that and expect that everything stays the same, and the environment takes the toll. So if you're looking here at the Saker and the Bastard, so the Hubara pretty much hunted to extinction in Saudi Arabia because there's a limit to how much you can hunt and hunt and hunt. Um, and there became less and less because you just catch them and you don't release them. You take them back home. If there's a problem with the internet, please tell me. Everything okay there, Jay?
Every few minutes we lose you for maybe 10 seconds or so. But I can't, what does it matter if I interrupt
Yeah,
you and
yeah, I'm sorry
we
about that.
mostly hear what you're saying.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry about that. This
Yeah.
is nothing I can do about it. I'll try to make it up, and then if you have any question, we can go back and I'm sure we can sort everything out. So the illegal if you don't have any more sakers, you buy them, you get them, you pay people to basically raid nests and bring chicks and cross the borders. And obviously, when it gets a little bit illegal and dangerous, and there's costs for that, then these birds' prices just rise to the top. And one saker, if you just Google, you can do it as an experiment, go back home and after the talk, not now, and try to check in Google how much you get for a saker um, in Saudi Arabia. No, not here, not in the UK, because in the UK there's some collections that trade them, so it's much cheaper. But if you want to buy them in Saudi Arabia, you probably have to pay 15 to $20,000 for one bird, and that's a good initiative for somebody who lives in Russia or in Eastern Europe to go and get and take some chicks from the nest and try to sell them. So the effect on the sakers overseas was pretty much very quick. And we are now looking at these two birds. If we look at um, the situation, we can see that the saker is endangered worldwide, and mainly because of illegal trade, because of falconry. And the bastard also, the Asian Hubara, is also vulnerable, which means that it is endangered in a way. And if you look quickly through the network, you can see that it's been going on for quite a while, but from time to time, it's been published that poachers in Siberia basically trying to buy some, sorry, to steal some sakers, some chicks, and smuggle them. Obviously, it's illegal. Also, some when you don't have any more hubaras in your country, then you can buy and you can organize a expedition to other countries and go and enjoy your hunting or falconry or hunting in the other countries. There's some stories of hundreds of hubaras hunted in just one expedition, and obviously that is it's a big problem. It also comes to come to that. This picture was taken. I took it early this month. We ran into actually by pretty much an accident. into a Saker nest. It was for me, it was very emotional. They don't breed in Israel, as I mentioned earlier. They just come here for winter. And that was the first time I saw an actual nest of Sakers, and it's only one of four nests that you can find in Georgia. There's not a lot of Sakers there. So we're looking at now at the 25% of their population, and the issue is so strong there as well that we were asked by the local guide not to even put it on eBird or not even mention in the social network that we saw a Saker because according to our guide, falconers in Georgia are actually looking for the nest, and they're very interested, obviously, in the little chicks. And there were three of them in this nest, so we couldn't really say anything. So, what does the international community doing about it? What are we doing about this situation? Because it's obviously unsustainable. So, um, there are agreements, there are regulations, and there's an international effort to try and control the illegal trade. It's very difficult. It's a very big crime scene, and it's very hard. But national regulations can help. So if every country will have a national regulation um, that uh, prohibit poaching, then there is a chance that these things will be under control. There is try to give the tools for the governments and for different countries to manage um, to control it, to enforce these laws, because it's not only obviously falcons. There's a lot of animals that are affected, and by that. And if we look at that was from the international picture. Um, what has it got to do with us in Israel? Obviously, in Israel, and you probably heard in previous webinars, it's illegal to hunt. It's illegal to poach. Obviously, there are some hunters, and they hunt by a permit, but they can hunt only specific animals. But it's obviously illegal to hunt, and it's illegal to trade in wildlife. But was were rescued. Um, and one of them is this eagle owl, but there were gazelles and hyenas and animals that obviously kept in horrible conditions. And some of them did not survive. But it happens here as well. It happens here. We're very close. Obviously, we have a border to some of the Arab countries that are doing that, and this is a big traffic of animals. And in the INPA, the Nature Parks Authorities are doing a good job in trying to, and they did this bust in charge of it, and they have a lot of people working hard on the intelligence as well side of things, and on the actual ground trying to prevent from this illegal trade. Um, and then there's also what's coming now to our topic. So it's illegal to trade in Israel. It's illegal to poach, obviously, or to hunt. Most of the animals in Israel are protected by law. So if you get to an extent where even if you find a wounded animal or bird, you must let you must inform the INPA, the rangers, because you're not allowed to actually or an animal unless you authorized. You need to give it to the authorities, and they can obviously we have the tools to deal with it and to handle that. But still, it happens. And as you can see in this picture, this is a picture that I took this year of a saker. This is a saker in a nice sunset in the northern western Negev. And that what happens here. So the story here is actually, if we take a little bit, a little look out, and if you don't know this bird, it's fine. This is a very unknown bird. It's called the sociable lapwing. Sociable lapwing is a wader, so it's related to, if you know, the sparrow. In America, you have a lot of waders, plovers. It's all in the family of, it's one of this family, but it doesn't live near water. It lives in the steppes of Asia, mainly in Kazakhstan. And some of them come to the Negev, to the North Negev every year. Only between 5 to 10 birds come every year, but they come to this area because this area attracts a lot of birds. And every winter, the fields of the northwestern Negev the fields fill with birds. There's a lot of food there. There's a lot of rodents. There's a lot of resources for the falcons. And these three species of large falcons come every winter to the fields of the northwestern Negev. They come here, as I said before, they breed mainly in the north. So if we look at the breeding maps, we can see that the Saker on the right and the peregrine in the middle, they breed in the northern parts of the continent. So Saker breeds in Central Asia, not too north, not as north as the peregrine that you can see in the central photo, but it breeds there and it comes to winter. And if you can spot Israel, then all three are found in Israel. The peregrine and the saker, the two on the right, come in winter, and the lanner actually breeds in Israel. But in winter, it joins his two friends, and you can find quite a lot of them in the northwestern Negev, standing on the power lines and hunting birds and enjoying the winter before they go back home. These are high birders, and they're not very common. So if you wanna go and see them and photograph them and enjoy them, then you have to go to this area. And for many years, it was very known. It was known along amongst the birding community that if you want to see good birds, you go to the northern western Negev in the winter. You can see the raptors there. You can see all the small birds that come. You can see the sociable lapwing and other rare birds. So in winter, the northwestern Negev just basically fills with birds. And this is where a story comes in, because slowly, in sometime probably 10 years ago, we started to find more and more birds that carry this string to their feet. You can see on the right, there's a lanner that was found actually near the Egyptian border. You can see it's very thin, it was very weak, and he escaped from one of the falconers somewhere. We don't know obviously where, because the rings that it carries doesn't mention any details, doesn't give you any details of the whereabouts. But we know that somebody has placed these strings. So if somebody placed the strings, that means it was in captivity for a time. We don't know exactly the details, but then we find them coming here to the northwestern Negev or to other areas and trying to hunt, because they still have the natural instincts of hunting. It's quite dangerous, however, because these strings, sometimes some of the strings are long, and when you want to try and hunt, you stand when this saker in the middle photo stands, perches on a power line or even on a tree, and then it takes off, it can tangle, it can get entangled. Either it's a power line or in a bush, and then it just stuck there. And if you won't find it, then it is doomed to eventually not survive. And last year, we actually, the ranger, one of the local rangers called me and said, listen, I have a peregrine or some sort of peregrine. He didn't know exactly which species it was, but it's actually entangled. And I will spare the footage because it's quite unpleasant, but it couldn't fly. It was tangled around the power line, the power post, and it was a high power for a high voltage. So it was very difficult to try and release it. But then we called the electric power company of Israel, and we worked quite close with them. And very quickly they sent a special team to the place. It was in Beersheba. They stopped the electricity, so they cut the electricity short, so that it won't be dangerous. And this team rescued the bird. It was a Barbary falcon. And but unfortunately, by the time it took an hour or so to do the whole operation, obviously because it wasn't very easy, it was very simple. And the Barbary falcon and the falcon didn't survive. They had to put it down because it was just suffering from horrible injuries, and it was just not, it couldn't really make it. And that probably happens. That's the fate of quite a lot of birds that escape, and that's quite we see a lot through the years. We saw quite a lot of them, and we started to understand that there's something going on under our noses, and we don't really know what's happening. And when the social networks started to grow as well, all the TikToks and the Instagram and everything, we started to see a lot of movies like the one on the left, where this beautiful Saker is just in one of these people's handlers' hand, and this was taken in Israel. So we started to suspect that there's something quite big happening, and along that and with it, we started to see less and less falcons as well. So if about 10, 20 years ago, we used to get 5 to 10 sakers every year coming to visit us in winter. Now, last year there was only two. There were only two. The year before, we haven't even seen, I think there was only one. So the numbers are shrinking, and it's really, really, really upsetting. Then,
Meidad,
yeah,
Meidad, I just want to let you know we're 15 minutes from the end of the hour, and we want to leave room for a little bit of question and
good.
dialogue.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
we're about to finish. We're about to finich.
okay,
Um,
it's not optimistic yet. We want to get optimistic by the end.
nah, yeah, there we go. This is the
Okay.
optimistic photo of the Falcon of the Guardian. So in 2018, I was approached by the INPA, the ranger. He said, "Listen, there is an operations here. There's people who go and catch these falcons, and we want to stop it. But it's just one ranger on this vast area. We can't do it by ourselves." And I said, let's use the birders. Let's use to enjoy the birds and get them to help us. And this project started to run in 2018. And basically, what I did is that just every year now for the last 7 years, coming October, I know that the birds arrive in November or December. Then I published in all my in the Facebook and everywhere. I said, "Listen, I'm looking for volunteers. If you want to help, come." At the beginning, it was a little bit more difficult because people didn't really know about the project. So I collected 10, 15 people who said we're in, and they register as volunteers for the INPA. And basically, what I do, I know where the falcons are, where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be on the power lines. So I run a list, a daily list of all I ask them is just to patrol and open their eyes and look for the falcons and look for suspicious movements. And if whenever they find something, some suspicious, today it's very easy with all the WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp group that we operate through the WhatsApp group, and this way we keep an eye on the falcons, where they are and what's happening around them, if there is any threats. And in the first year we managed to catch poachers. The poachers were under this beautiful saker. They tried to catch it. We called the rangers, and they came very quickly, and they caught them right on, how you say, in the heat of the moment. The evidence was very, very strong, and these people went to they were judged. They went to
They were judged in
big,
what?
big and they got a fine. They got a big fine of about 75,000 shekels, but more than the money, it was an offense. So it was like a yellow card. So the next time the same guy will be caught doing the same thing, this is prison time, and this is a criminal offense, and it's quite effective. But it's not as effective as the punishment is not as effective as we hoped. From 2018, slowly, we got more and more known in the country, this project, and now most of the photographers, a lot of the photographers and birders know about this project, and they already volunteer in November. I have normally every year about between 25 to 30 people, and almost every day I have eyes in the field, which is a great help because the rangers are just on call. They don't have to patrol. Whenever they are called, they're coming very quick. And after a few years of just basically successes, we didn't find any poachers. This year was different. This year, one of our volunteers saw this car, this red car. He called the rangers. He said, "Listen, there's something suspicious about this behavior. It looks like he's very interested in the Saker, and there was only one Saker in Israel last year, and it was in the same power line every day. So we kept an eye on it, and that's how we reported this car. The Rangers came very quickly, and they caught and they stopped it, and they found this pigeon in this car. This pigeon was actually found in the field, but there was another pigeon in the car. This is the way they catch the bird. They take a pigeon around the bird, and the hunters just hope that the bird will, while trying to catch the pigeon, the feet will get entangled in one of these loops, and then they can just come and pick it up because it would be too heavy with the rock to lift it, and then they can catch it without killing it. That's a very simple way, and it's very similar to the way that they used to catch them 3,000 years ago in Saudi Arabia.
Hmm.
So we managed to prevent that. But then, about 3 days later, our volunteers caught another poacher trying to catch a saker, and this time he ran away. And for the next week, caught. And these days, they are in court now. The INPA deals with them, and they're going to get penalized for that. But it didn't really scare um, the poachers, and they tried and tried and tried. And so I decided, and I realized that with the 20 volunteers that I have, and you have to understand that these volunteers, they come on their free time. So I round the schedule according to their free time. And obviously they can't come every day. So when there's a day that the volunteers can't, none of the volunteers can come, then I live quite pretty close by, and then I go and do it myself. But we realize we won't be able to protect the bird 24/7. So what I did is I did a big post on Facebook in the biggest birding and photographers group, and I said, we have a saker and they want to try and catch it. Come and help us. And as simple as that. And from this day, I had every day between two or three people from all over the country. Basically, and they're not necessarily even birders. I had teenagers coming with their parents. I had guides from the SPNI. I had mainly people, retired people that have a lot of time and just coming. Some of them didn't even know what the Seiko looks like, so they had to be trained by me. Um, and this all this commotion around the Seiko, they would just sit around the Seiko. The poachers obviously saw that. We know that. We were reported that they tried to get close and they just couldn't get close to the Seiko. And eventually, in early March, when it's time for the Seiko to go back to it actually flew back home, and it was a success. But there's obviously a lot of questions that I asked myself. It's just one bird. Um, is it worthwhile just all this effort one bird? But I thought that it's not only this bird; it's also a point that we're trying to make to the bad people, and that it's completely you. My point was you can't do it. And if normally it's just you basically mainly in Israel, you just raise your hands and say, oh, what can you do about it? What can I do about it? I'm just one person, but there you go. You can get people to come and help, and you can protect. And even if it's just one bird, it's an endangered bird, endangered species. And when people try to catch it, you can send them the message that it just it won't happen. Oh, what's that say? So by that, we come to the end. Um, Obviously, we are preparing for next November. In November, hopefully, more than just one Seeker will come back. We will get as many as possible, and the project will go on. Hopefully, we won't have to. One day, we just won't have to do it, and we won't have to protect it. We don't have to guard it. But unfortunately, this is the situation now. And personally, on a personal angle, I really enjoy doing that. I enjoy meeting the people that come from all over the country just to basically do something good. And in our times, it's always a blessing to see people that come to help. I think that is not very a traditional subject and issue in Israel. So thank you very much. And obviously, if you want to help, we always we need the support, not only power, manpower. We also want to start a new sort of get a little bit advance and catch up with the 21st century and use more sophisticated ways to protect the birds and not only just patrolling, using other technology that can help us protect these beautiful, beautiful birds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Meidad. Let's go with a few quick questions here because I want to, be respectful of everybody's time. We have less than 6 minutes. Um, has there ever been a thought of a falcon saker breeding and reintroduction program, for example, like the California condors? One of the questions we received.
They don't breed in Israel.
They don't breed in
Historically,
Israel,
well,
so
this
we
is
wouldn't
just,
be able
we
to
are
do
not
that.
part of the breeding the distribution, so we don't really deal with that. Our job is to make sure that they go through the winter safely and go back to
Okay.
their breeding grounds in the north. Yeah.
Okay. Um, who are the poachers of the Sakers in Israel? Is that a particular group, ethnicity?
Yeah, mainly it's actually most of the people, I can't really get into more specifics, but these are criminals. So most of the
Criminals?
people are people who dealing with other kinds of crimes. So if it's smuggling, mainly smugglers that work in the
And,
south.
you did cut out for like a few seconds when you talked about that pigeon. So if I understand, they basically booby trap a pigeon with loops of ring, like they tie string around a pigeon, release it, and then and the pigeon itself, it's tied to a rock on the ground, or so it's easy prey.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that what you
yeah.
meant? Okay.
Usually to a yeah, usually to a not a heavy, not a too heavy rock, so the bird can catch it and fly a little bit, but they
Right.
can't fly far. And then eventually they
Okay.
get tired and they come and pick it up.
And these pigeons are raised for that purpose?
They're raised. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, they're
And
raised
and
or
and the
they
khubaro on the menu in Pakistani restaurants, for example, is there such a thing as domesticated khubaro that are raised for that, or these are all caught illegally? In which
okay. So
case, the restaurant should be
the
keeping.
Hubara is really a topic for a big a different talk because it's a long story, but cut it short. Because they were
You
thousands
you
of
you could have.
uh, Hubaras. You hear me now, Jay?
Yeah, now I hear you, but I missed the beginning of that.
Okay. There's a big reintroduction program in the United Emirates, and they released them in some countries. So in Jordan and other parts of the Arabian Peninsula, they have been released mainly to sort of recover the population.
Okay,
Um, and yeah, so they were raised in, you can call it even chicken
right.
houses,
This they are.
and a lot of them released in Jordan.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So some of them, the Arabian Peninsula, they're raised and released, but in Israel, they are completely
Interesting.
natural.
A question about why are the poachers not in prison instead of a fine? And I hear from Dan all the time that The enforcement and the court systems in Israel for people that harm nature it's not a great or a very effective system. And I think what Meidad told us is 75,000 shekel fine is not an insignificant number. And that, as he said, it's like in soccer a yellow card, meaning that the next offense will be jail time. And I think that's probably a good outcome for the Israeli justice system when it comes to this type of thing. So we definitely have things to get better on in Israel. Um, see, they were in the Q&A. I think people had typed some questions as well. Oh, that wasn't the Q&A. I mean the chat. And a lot of thanks to you. Oh yeah, Ronnie Sims asked a good question. Can this model of protecting one species be adapted to other species in Israel, or is it trying to? Can it be a model for other nature protection work? Yeah, the
You mean
volunteer
the model of
for the
volunteering, using volunteers? I try to use as many volunteers for every project. So if I have a Sooty Falcon survey coming this summer, then I'm going to use volunteers as well. We're doing the Hubara survey for the last 3 years. I'm using volunteers as well. And yeah, the volunteers are an amazing resource, and we use it as much as we can. Both sides benefit, and yeah, it's a very good model.
well,
Not
great.
only in Israel, all over the world.
Right. I guess it's a unique situation when you're protecting an endangered species and there's one individual in Israel and you're all seeing it on a line. But yeah, no, it's a great idea and great work.
I think the challenge here was that it's a very gentle and sensitive issue when you use volunteers and to deal with the outlaws.
Right.
But we do it, yeah. So basically, we can try to we're doing it very very carefully, and no volunteer actually deals or get in contact with the criminals. We just basically eventually the criminals face the rangers. They meet the rangers when that
Right.
happens. So far, it's been quite good, and we are
Wow.
with, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Meidad, and I apologize to everybody for the in and out connectivity. Meidad's,
Yeah, I'm
as
sorry
he
about
mentioned,
that.
lives about a mile from a very active war zone, a couple miles. So that probably was interfering with your usually solid internet. But yeah, that happens once in a while. I think most people got almost all of it, and we got most of the questions. So. It's top of the hour. I want to thank everybody. David, Amichai, and Naama got a new employee of SPNI doing back office for the first time on these webinars. I think she'll be with us more. So thank you, David and Naama, from your homes in Jerusalem and Moshav in the center of the country. Meidad and a Moshav outside of Gaza. Be safe down there, Meidad. Thank you all very much. Thank you for supporting everybody who's here, engaging with us, for supporting us. There was a link online. I'm sure you know where to find us under Nature Israel in the English website, or of course, Chevra Laganat Teva, if you're in Israel and want to donate in Israel. So thank you, everybody, and have a good week. And we will see you in a couple weeks, I believe. But stay tuned for our emails and we'll be in touch. Thank you. This is Jay signing off from Toronto.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.